welcome back. So this video is going to be a little bit different than my usual videos, and as some of you know, I no longer take clients behind the chair anymore. And in this video, I want to tell you about the main reasons as to why I stopped doing hair. Last year, I wrote a blog post on this and it really resonated with a lot of other stylists out there. And now it's been about a year, so I wanted to give an update after a full year of not taking clients to let everyone know how that's been going for me and if I still think it was the right decision. So just to give you a quick background on my career as a hairstylist, I started beauty school in 2007, so I've been in this industry for going on 18 years now. And for the last 10 years of my career, I worked for myself out of a studio hair salon. So I've had a good mix of working for other people inside of other salons as well as working for myself. And while I have to say working for myself was better in so many ways, there were just some things that had become issues that you just can't get away from no matter what while you're still taking clients behind the chair. And I want to point out that I'm not making this video to complain. I don't want to complain because my career was incredibly rewarding and I learned so much about myself, life, and business from it. But that being said, it was just time for me to transition my career from working one-on-one with clients behind the chair to another aspect of the hair industry. Okay, so the first thing is trauma on my body. Now, I put this as number one because this is ultimately the most important reason as to why I quit. Doing hair is a physically demanding job. And no matter if you're tall or short, you will have different issues that arise. Since I am very short, I'm 5'1" on a good day, my arms were constantly up above my head. I very rarely ever pumped my chair up and my clients were as far down as they could. I oftentimes had to have clients slouch down or scoot down in their chairs just to make it a little bit easier on myself. And if you can imagine, holding your arms up for a long period of time can get really old, especially if you add the weight of a blow dryer into your arms. So for the majority of my career, I suffered with tendinitis in my rotator cuff, my bicep tendon, my wrists, my fingers, my elbows. So I chose not to get any cortisone shots just because I didn't want to further deteriorate my tendons. I've tried to make do by taking an oral steroid every few months, as well as trying physical therapy and other methods to try to relieve the pain. Now, here I am a year later, and I'm currently dealing with another flare-up of tendinitis. So even though it's been a full year of not doing hair any longer, my body is still suffering some of these consequences. Okay, so number two is hairstylist burnout and exhaustion. So there's no way around it. Doing hair is an exhausting job. And I don't just mean physically, I mean mentally as well. When I'm coloring hair, I'm doing chemistry, math, art, all while trying to maintain a conversation that really should be saved for a therapist. But we'll talk more about that part later. Oftentimes I would work on color corrections that were extremely fragile. You had to be so precise at what you're doing or else you're risking ruining someone's hair. The majority of my color services took 4 hours per client, but I had several color corrections that took 10 plus hours just on one client. Now, don't get me wrong, this was extremely rewarding when everything went smoothly, but this isn't to state that it wasn't absolutely exhausting. After one of these color corrections, I would literally just sit on the floor and stare into the void because it felt like my brain was mush. Okay, so number three is anxiety. So if you have anxiety already, I'm gonna go ahead and say that becoming a hairstylist probably isn't a good career path for you. Now, I started doing hair when I was very young, and I didn't really have much anxiety before I started, but it certainly came out once I became a stylist. I can't tell you how many nights I laid in bed staring at the ceiling, overthinking my work. I would think things like, I should have used a different toner, or did I cut her hair too short, or does she hate it? The anxiety was so extreme at times that there were days that I felt like I couldn't eat because I was so worked up about if somebody didn't like their hair. Anytime this would happen, I would consider leaving the industry because I just couldn't deal with it. Now, over time, as I became more educated and I got better at my job, this didn't happen quite as frequently, but it never fully went away. There were often times where there was nothing I could do to make the situation get any better because of a crazy color correction that was ultimately out of my control. But that doesn't mean it still didn't upset me if I couldn't get their hair how they wanted. Okay, number 4. People can be hard to work with sometimes. As you may have experienced in another industry, working one-on-one with people can be difficult in a lot of different ways. As an empathetic person, I often would carry the weight of whatever my clients would bring to me, and I would take it home with me. I was with clients through divorces, deaths, sicknesses like cancer, losing pets, and it was very hard to disassociate myself from the pain that they were feeling. I would often leave work carrying a heavy weight on my shoulders. And for whatever reason, people tend to treat their hair appointment like a therapy session. And the truth is, I never wanted to be a therapist. People would tell me stuff that would make me feel extremely uncomfortable. And another thing is, people don't always understand that what they are asking for isn't necessarily a good option for them. People would bring me pictures of, let's say, Jennifer Aniston. And no matter how hard I explained that this haircut isn't going to make them look like Jennifer Aniston, they still didn't leave totally satisfied. People don't often understand that what they do to their hair at home often limits at what I can do in the salon. Okay, number 5 is you can't always be authentic when you're working with people. And this came out more recently in the last, let's say, 5 years or so. As a hairstylist, you're gonna have people from all walks of life in your chair. And you have to understand that you're not gonna agree with everybody. This was very difficult for me because especially having a studio salon where I was just one-on-one with the client, I would have people come in and go on a political rant or a rant of anything, and sometimes I didn't always agree with them. And sometimes they would say things that were so hateful to the other side that it would be very awkward if I told them that I didn't agree with them. And honestly, I couldn't afford to lose half of my clientele or a big portion of my clientele just because we didn't agree on a specific topic that, in my opinion, I just didn't think mattered that much. But day after day, it started wearing on me, feeling like I had to suppress who I really was just for this other person. And something I realized is that not being able to be authentic really was hindering my happiness. I felt that people liked me for somebody that I wasn't, and that really wasn't a good feeling. So when I stopped doing hair, I made a choice to not ever put myself in a situation where I have to hide who I really am. Okay, so number 6, being a hairstylist hindered my ability to form relationships. So believe it or not, I am actually a very introverted person. This means that I am drained by a lot of people interactions. So when you're doing hair, you are one-on-one with people all day long. And at the end of the day, I didn't want to look at another person. I would go home and hang out with my dog in silence. Then I'd get up the next day and do it all over again. When I was younger, this wasn't as much of a problem because I had roommates and stuff, but once I hit my 30s, I realized how alone I was becoming. I stopped having much of a social life at all, and I struggled to even want to go on dates to form a relationship with a significant other because I was just so burned out of people and I needed some peace and quiet. Now, if you're extroverted and get energized by being around people, then this is going to be different for you, but that's not how it was for me. Okay, number 7 is that people can be extremely disrespectful. So from people strolling in 20 to 30 minutes late without even an apology to just flat out not showing up to their appointments at all, people often don't respect your time. And I'm not sure if they just didn't think about the fact that this was affecting my paycheck anytime this happened, or if they just didn't care. But frankly, I got really sick of being disrespected. Now, I did have a cancellation policy in place, but it was not worth the same amount as if they had actually come into their appointment. And when the pandemic happened, I had to waive some cancellation fees unless I either wanted people to come in and get me sick, which would then cost me a week's worth of work, or get mad because I'm charging them for something that's out of their control. Either way, it was kind of a lose-lose situation for me. What it came down to is I hated the fact that other people had control over my income. My income was dependent on all of my clients showing up and showing up on time. Number 8 is the salon business model. So as a hairstylist, you are trading labor for money. You perform a service and then you're paid for it. And ultimately, you can only make as much as you can do in a day. Sure, you can continue to raise your prices, but at some point you're gonna have a cap to that. And this kind of tails off of the last topic where other people kind of have some control over your income. I learned that there are many other ways that you can scale your income without needing to trade your labor, or in my case, my health of my body, for money. This is why I decided to go to content creation online, because it is a little bit more passive, though not fully passive. I'm not trading my labor and my health for money. Okay, number 9. Selling makes me uncomfortable. So some people may say that this is a personal problem, but I absolutely hate selling. There's something about a car salesman that reminds me of a guy trying to get into your pants, and it absolutely enrages me. Anytime somebody is trying to do a hard sell on me, I immediately walk away, even if it's a product that I want. So since I cannot stand being sold to, it's understandable that I don't like selling myself either. The way I handled my business, I did the least amount of selling as possible. I focus more on educating my clients, and if they bought something for me, cool. If not, that's cool too. When I was working on my own, this was fine, but working in an actual salon, this is gonna be a problem. Most salons have retail things set up to where you are forced to hit a certain quota of selling products. And personally, I hate the pressure of that. There are so many different hair types out there and so many different products out there that are gonna work for people that I'm not gonna force somebody to change what they're doing, even if it's working for them, into this product that the salon carries, just so I can make money off of them. Well, it makes sense to do this on a business standpoint. Selling just is not in my DNA. And now that it's been a full year since I haven't done hair, I still stand with my decision. I 100% think that this was the best decision, and I'm not going to ever go back to doing hair again. As I mentioned, my body is still suffering for it, and it's just not worth it to me. I've done well with my blog and my YouTube channel, and I plan on continuing these aspects of educating. And to any other hairstylists out there that are thinking the same thing and that are resonating with this video, I encourage you to look for other ways that you can transition yourself out of doing hair behind the chair. With experience that you have gained, there are a lot of ways that you can translate that experience into other things. Whether you're in the same industry and you go into educating new cosmetology students or educating other hairstylists, or working for a brand. There are a lot of positions with brands that you can look at, but there are many ways that you can use the skills that you've gained from doing hair in other industries. Like your customer service translates really well into bedside manner in healthcare. There are so many different options for you, and I want this video to be helpful for anyone that might be feeling the same way. All right, guys, that is gonna be it for this video. If anyone else is resonating with this, I want you to leave a comment below, and make sure you subscribe if you wanna make every day a good hair day.